operationally they've got a lot of worries. I think many have probably got loyalty commitments, so promises that they've made both as a brand and as part of their loyalty program, which they're probably thinking, well, how do we now make sure we still fulfill those promises? So whether that's redemption capacity, whether that's product redemptions, whether that's offers that encourage footfall, and yet some of your physical infrastructure is being shut down, right? So retailers shutting down stores. How do you balance that against the proposition that says come into our stores more often and you can earn a reward, right? So I think there's some of the businesses are grappling with that. Ultimately is also understanding where to jump. Do you invest in loyalty for the short and long term? Do you invest in discounting? Because in a cost of living crisis, discounting is what really people are wanting. And I say that reluctantly because maybe what they want and what they need are two different things, but that's sometimes an academic debate. So it really depends who's at the helm of some of these organizations, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there are very tough conversations going on right now in organizations that talk about, price discounting, ensuring that they're still alive and trading, in 18 months and 24 months time, and then make the big decisions at that point. It is, an unenviable position, to be in right now. There's a lot of tough conversations going on in boardrooms, that's for sure.
I think, given where we are in 2023 and the global recession we're expecting, is the first thing is to keep the lights on. The first thing is survival. And by that I mean that the loyalty companies, your loyalty strategy then has to reflect that. And also, so to some degree, if it's going to be a tough year, then the loyalty company need to roll their sleeves up and really help their lead brand to do that. And if that means cutting costs, or if that means engaging more customers, all those things, that's your first priority, is to make sure that the business works best and you're reflecting that. The second priority, I then say, is to move towards this more spenders mentality than a savers mentality, of saying, how can I give my customers that little bit of luxury? It's this lipsticks or sofas debate, where you say, customers, the sale of a luxury lipstick generally tends to go up during a recession because people are looking for those small returns, those small luxuries that make a big difference. And so that's why I think I'd say reflect your lead brand, what's happening there, and make sure you're honest to that. And the second thing is focus on customers and giving those little bits of luxuries that are going to make a big difference.
Biggest challenge in 2022 was to sustain the growth of the loyalty programs despite the market shrinkage in many industries as a result of the decrease in purchasing power of the consumers. In 2023, purchasing power will decrease further due to the recession. It will be necessary to find more effective and personalized offers in loyalty to direct the consumer to purchase.
There's always challenges, right? So if we do the industry first, I think one challenge is the lack of speed with a lot of potential clients, right? At least that's, maybe we're not good enough at selling, so to speak, but I mean, things do not move fast, right? So that's a challenge, because that just, takes time. Everything takes a long time. Then there are other challenges. I would call it a challenge / an opportunity if you have a modern technology, but data privacy, if you have old technology, data privacy can become a real challenge. We have global clients that operate in many markets, right? And we are super lucky. It's not because we were smart, but we're lucky that we started late. So we have a technology that can adapt easily to these different privacy rules, right? So for example, we have a client that operates across Australia, the US, and Europe, and that means that data has to be stored in Australia and Europe and all this, right? So this whole data privacy thing is a challenge / an opportunity, right? Then it can all of a sudden take full markets, which is a challenge, off the map. India, for example, right now it's almost impossible, or it is impossible to do card linking in India, because the schemes have not adopted to the new data privacy rules in India, right? Another market is Saudi Arabia, where there's a new Egypt, where there's new up, and they're very much all tailored on GDPR. And that's why I'm saying it's a little bit of an advantage for us. Denmark is one of the first countries to implement GDPR. And apart from Germany, I think we're the strictest, right? So we are used to operating in this environment, and I can see of course it's a challenge, but it's also maybe an opportunity for us. Then there could be regulations within payments, right? I mean, there are challenges that some of the schemes cannot operate fluently in all countries. That there becomes all kinds of issues with cross-border transactions and things like that. So that's another challenge. Inflation, as we talked about, if it keeps at this stage, it may shut down a lot of things. So that's another challenge, right? The biggest challenge you can say we have faced and also predict facing is actually getting qualified IT staff. So having these systems require very talented people. And at least in the Nordics, that's why we opened in South Africa, right? Which was really good for us. But getting talented IT talent is a challenge and will be a challenge. So those are sort of the challenges I see for the next year. Right?
So if you look at challenges, if we kind of compartmentalize challenges in terms of business challenges and technology challenges, and they are in some way interrelated. I think one of the major challenges that the existing loyalty programs faced or have still been they've been facing for some time now is that the programs are designed and run as terms and condition focused transactional loyalty programs. And with the advent of digital channels, with the rising consumer expectations, I think the transition to a more contemporary loyalty program, which is a lot more vibrant, a lot more dynamic, a lot more personalized, a lot more engagement driven and experience focused, I think that transition has been hard for several loyalty programs. It's not so much of a intent or willingness to make that transition. It's also the enabling technology, the enabling organizational readiness. I think those have been some of the challenges for the loyalty programs to make that swift transition, having realized that the transition is inevitable. I think that I would highlight as the single most critical challenge, and I would continue to see that challenge getting into 2023. But as the technologies evolve, as the loyalty market's visions evolve, I think ultimately we are on a very solid track to get to a place where the loyalty programs would see that next generation of evolution of loyalty 3.0, so to say. In terms of COVID, I believe COVID did have an impact on the economy, and COVID impacted everything, all walks of lives. However, what I would like to highlight as a silver lining, loyalty programs actually were quite effective, especially the brands that knew how to use loyalty programs to continue to stay in touch with their customers, to continue to engage with the customers. And I could name several brands that I felt did a brilliant job in keeping in touch with the customers, in making sure that the customers realize that the brands continue to care about them, delivering them benefits that were not necessarily the benefits that they're traditionally used to be delivering, but benefits that are more aligned to what customers' expectations were. So they use loyalty programs very effectively as a tool to stay connected with their customers. And I think that actually underlines the power of a well-run loyalty program to provide that kind of a bridge with your customers, even when they are not doing business with you. So I think COVID was challenging, but at the same time, those who had invested in a well-established loyalty program were able to harness the power of loyalty program to stay in touch with the customers, and they benefited very well on rebound, because customers always felt that this brand cared about me. They communicated with the customers, they extended their for example points expiration, they extended their vouchers, privileges, and made sure that the customers were on top of customers were continuously engaging through that breakdown, so to say, in terms of business.